It is so sparkly. Hello, lovely people, and welcome to the Almita Made channel. My name is Alma, and I'm here to chat about all things making. Usually, it's mostly sewing with a little touch of knitting, but today it's all about knitting. So I'm sorry if you're not into that. This one's probably not for you, but there's plenty of other vlogs that are all about sewing, like last week's. So go and take a look at those if you haven't seen them yet. But if you are interested in the world of knitting, then welcome. I'm excited to tell you all about my latest finished object. I feel like such a real knitter when I say that. It's just such a specific wording to the knitting world rather than the sewing world. You don't say I have a finished object in sewing vlogs. I don't know why, but I like it. I like the little different pockets of makers on the internet. So you've definitely seen me talk about this project before if you have watched my vlogs previously, but today I'm going to recap all the information that I've told you along the way and let you know how I got on with finishing it. The pattern in question is called the Pettson vest by Lotta H. Lufgren. I am going for that pronunciation. I have not been able to find anyone saying that name online. So if you know how to say it and it's not how I'm saying it, I am so sorry. I really apologize. And please let me know how you pronounce it. Brilliant little pattern. So if we rewind all the way to my birthday, which was in September, one of the lovely gifts from Pat, my husband, was to take me to a very special yarn shop called Yarn by the Water in West London, which you can go to by appointment. It felt very, very special. And we went on, I think, the day after my birthday, maybe something like that, in my birthday weekend. And I did vlog all about this, by the way, so I will link to that vlog. I think I definitely talked about it. And we went to this lovely yarn shop, and then I chose a few things to buy, and Pat bought it for me, which was extremely generous, very, very sweet. And basically I was very indecisive with what yarn to choose, because in case you've never shopped for yarn and you don't know this feeling, more with yarn than with fabric, I like to buy yarn with something to make in mind. I don't love buying randomly. With fabric, sometimes I just buy a fabric because it looks fabulous and I just think, well, I'll get something out of that. Because I'm much less experienced with knitting, I don't know how to do that. So I wanted to buy something and have a project in mind. I had lots of different options in front of me in the shop, and I kind of decided to go with the vibe of the yarn. For once, I gravitated towards this tweed because I do really like tweed, although I went for the black, which is very unlike me. I'm not sure what possessed me. But then I thought, I like it. It's quite chunky, so I think I will try and make some kind of vest. And then Carmen, who runs Yarn by the Water, said, oh, I've made this. And she had an object made in a different color, but made in this yarn. And she said, this pattern works brilliantly for it. And it was the Pettson vest, which is a vest, a cardigan vest. Is that a thing? That's how I would distinguish it from like a full vest, because it's open. It has buttons and it opens at the center front, but it has no sleeves, hence the vestness of it all. And so she showed me one of the Pettson vests that she'd made, because she said she'd actually made two, and I loved it instantly. I thought it was the cutest little pattern, and it lent itself very well to this kind of yarn. I knew that it would work because Carmen had made it, so I got the details. I downloaded the pattern straight away, bought the yarn, or Pat bought me the yarn, and I was very, very happy. The yarn is 100% wool, Ericanite, pure tweed it's called, and it comes in a few different colors. I will link below to the Yarn by the Water pure tweed page, because I would really recommend it. I really enjoyed working with it. It feels quite nicely warm, I would say, having given my finished object a little bit of wear so far. I think it just feels proper, you know, so it would definitely make a lovely jumper as well. Anyway, I bought 2 skeins of pure tweed, and then I had this thought that maybe because I was confused by the fact that I went for the black yarn, I then thought, oh, what if I made it black but sparkly? That's more me. And so I had bought separately. I don't even know if I'd bought it for a project specifically or just with the idea of using it with something else to make something sparkly around Christmas. I think that was my idea. I bought this sparkly thread, basically. It's a very, 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 very thin yarn that has that purpose of being used as a runner that you hold together with another yarn, and then it makes everything sparkly. So I thought, that might work. I made a little swatch of the holding the two yarns together, and I was in love instantly with the fabric that it created, because honestly, there's pure joy that emanates from the fabric. I'll show you the swatch because I've got it still. Here it is. I mean, the amount that this fabric sparkles was a surprise to me. I thought obviously it's gonna be visible on the black, but the effect is just better than I could have imagined or hoped for. So once I'd done the swatch, I was like, well, obviously I'm going to do that for my Pettson vest. So I started making the vest, and I got on with the pattern quite well up until one point where I got really confused, and it's just the wording of it. It wasn't a technique, it wasn't anything tricky, it was just the wording of it, which luckily, because I knew that Carmen at Yarn by the Water had made two of these, I thought she's the right person to ask. And I said, I'm really sorry, I hope you don't mind, but since you've made it, hopefully you can understand why, what's going on in this part of the pattern that I'm not understanding. And it was literally something like, repeat this step 23 times, but also it said knit until you have 5 centimeters. And those two things were so different. And what it meant was that I had to reach 5 centimeters, change something, and then continue with the rounds, or rows, I should say, because it's knit flat. But then the total of times would be 23, something like that. It was just the wording I was not understanding it at all. And Carmen helped with that. And that was genuinely the only tricky bit for me, which was due to a misunderstanding of the wording. I think the pattern is originally in Swedish, and then there's the English version. So maybe it was some odd phrase construction that I just wasn't understanding. Maybe I definitely hadn't come across any instruction like that before. So I got confused, but then I got unstuck thanks to Carmen's help. And the techniques that at a first glance, there were things that I looked in the pattern that I thought, oh, I don't know how to do that. And then upon watching a video about that technique, I thought, oh no, I have done that for sure. So they were all things that I was maybe not familiar with, but that I could do and I had done in the past. So that felt great. And I guess the only slightly tricky thing was the tubular cast off, which you do on the armholes and the hem, I think, and the button band. So you do it a lot. I think lots of people hate that. I don't mind it at all, but I did mind it this time because there was a lot of it, first of all, but also I was holding the main yarn with the runner at the same time, and doing the tubular cast off was a bit of a nightmare. I think basically the problem is that the runner kept getting tangled up. I had to break it several times and retie it, so it's a bit of a mess in that sense. Luckily it's just the runner, so it's tiny, you barely see the knots. But let's just say there was a lot of swearing. But eventually, I think on the button band, I figured out a way to hold it. Basically, I was somehow using both hands to hold the yarn at different points so that the two yarns would stay together and the runner wouldn't get tangled up. But yeah, that was a nightmare, but it's my own fault for choosing to hold a runner with it. The technique of the tubular cast off isn't actually hard, it's just lengthy. So I wouldn't let that put you off a project, is what I would say. And the result is very, very nice. I'm going to get the vest, show it to you up to the camera so you can see some details, and then I'm going to wear it later on so you can see and we can talk about the fit as well. So here we are. Oh my goodness. It is so sparkly. So sparkly. It is a beautiful object, objectively. I'm sure some people won't like it, but I think it just looks joyful. And it's everything I wanted it to be honest, in terms of sparkliness. So pretty. So let me talk you through a few details. The one interesting thing about this pattern is that, yes, it's knit flat, which a lot of people don't like. I must say I don't love it either. But there is standard stockinette in the front panels, and then it switches to reverse stockinette in the back. You can't really see it because of the sparkle, but what that means is that you never get stuck with too much purling. And to be fair, with this project, I practice my purling a lot, which I don't use very often. And I feel like I got better at it and quicker at it. So I'm quite happy. It was a good project for practicing something that I don't do very often. It was great to practice the tubular bind off. That feels like a skill that I definitely have now, which is good. And what else can I tell you? There's ribbing around the armholes and all the neckline, which turns into the button band, and the hem. The hem has this little thing that's really cute. It's like a little peekaboo. When I put it on and show you, I'll also put a picture so you can see what I'm talking about. Another slightly boring thing is picking up stitches. It's not something I enjoy doing, although I am getting better at it thanks to finding a tip from somewhere online where you can use a crochet hook to kind of find the stitch when you're picking it up, because just with my knitting needles I can't do it, and especially on black wool on black yarn it was really tricky. So with the crochet hook it's much easier to bring it through, and then you move it, you put the stitch onto your needles and knit it. And yes, it takes longer, but at least I can do it. I couldn't do it without it, so I'm happy to have found that technique. Now, for the button band, I was so disciplined because I knew it was so many bloody stitches to pick up, and you're meant to have the same number of stitches on the right and the left hand side. So I used the stitch marker every 10 stitches to kind of keep track of the sections of stitches that I was picking up, so that I could then mirror it on the other side. I'm so glad I did that. It genuinely took an evening, if not an evening and a bit. It took forever. It was really, really, really dull, but I'm so glad I did it because I kept track of it. I did not do that on the armholes, and one armhole ended up with less stitches. The second armhole ended up with way less stitches than the first one. I considered undoing it all and starting again, which is probably what I should have done, but instead I sort of tried to adjust by picking up extra stitches along the way, which has ended up in the two armholes being a little bit different, and I don't love it. I can't remember which one's which, but one's got like a baggy bit. I think maybe the right one has a bit of a baggier bit. I don't love it. I regret it slightly, but not enough to go back and do it again. You know, once it's on, it doesn't matter. So those were the kind of finicky bits. The other technique that I learned was how to make afterthought buttonholes. In the pattern, there's not much guidance, I have to say. As in, they say what to do, but not how to do it. So I looked up lots of videos. For example, it just says, now reinforce the stitches with some embroidery thread. And I thought, that's very easy for you to say. I don't know what you mean. So I looked it up and I found a way of how to do it, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. And I'm very proud that I managed to do buttonholes, because I thought buttonholes aren't my friends in sewing. Let's see how I get on with knitting. But it was fine. And I think, actually, the result is fine. It's not, I was expecting it to look much messier. Let me see if I can show it to you. There it is. Little buttonhole. It's very hard, black on black, isn't it? But there it is. And it is truly fairly neat, and definitely big enough for my buttons. And let me tell you a little bit about the buttons, because I love them. These are another Pat special. So he had some acrylic sheets that he'd bought ages ago, and at work where he works, they have a machine that cuts acrylic, that cuts all sorts of things, but it cuts acrylic very well. And so he's made me a bunch of new earrings, which I love, little charms for my hoop earrings. For example, these flowers, that's acrylic. And so when he did that, I'm extremely excited because I have lots of new earrings that I'm loving wearing. But when he brought back what he had left of one of the sheets, I thought, now that's sparkly and silvery, which reminds me of my current knitting project. I wonder if you could cut me some buttons. And he said, oh, why, of course I can, which is pretty great. And so I asked for 15 millimeter buttons after putting different sizes of buttons, kind of laying them onto the button band to decide what kind of size I liked. And I think 15 is pretty good because they're not tiny, but they're not massive. The button band is about that thick, just so you know for reference, because you can't really see the definition of the stitches. But so he just cut me these. They're basically see-through acrylic with sparkly silvery bits, exactly like the silvery bits in the fabric. So they couldn't be more perfect, to be honest. And so what you do is you sew down the buttons first, and then with that you determine where to do the afterthought buttonhole, which I found really interesting because in sewing it's definitely the other way around. You do the buttonholes first and then figure out where to put the buttons. So that was cool. Then the other thing that I added is this label, which is from Purple Stitches. I bought this at the Stitch Festival back at the beginning of the year, and I bought these labels specifically to go into my knitted garments because I wanted something for that purpose. And they are, it has two folded ends, so I can hide the stitches behind it. I just used black embroidery thread, which is what I use to stitch down the buttons and to secure the buttonholes, which I then learned how to do. And yes, I would say that the pattern is clear, apart from that little bit that I didn't understand. If you get stuck, give me a ring, drop me a message, and I can help you understand it like I did. But apart from that, the techniques are all very doable. I am very proud of this because it looks very accomplished, I would say. It looks like it has enough bits that look impressive and complex compared to other things that I've knitted. So I'm feeling very proud of it. But now let me put it on and we can talk about the fit, because that's a slightly different story. But before I put it on, let me just tell you what I'm wearing here, which is one of my many now Amy shirts, which is a pattern by Sew Over It, where I work. I love this pattern. I've made it so many times. Honestly, I think I have now 4, maybe 5. Yeah, I have 5. No, 4. I think I have 4. Anyway, it's a very, very nice sewing pattern. I'll link to it below, of course, and to this and to my Ravelry project for this, in case you want to see some of the questions, some of the details. One thing I didn't mention, I said it in the previous vlog, I think. So I finished the whole vest apart from the button band, and I basically got to the end of my second skein of pure tweed yarn. And I was so gutted because I thought I could squeeze it into 2 skeins, but I couldn't. So then I ordered a third skein thinking it's okay, I'll probably use quite a bit of it. I did decide not to do the pockets in the end. There's the option to make a pocket. And I decided that on this fabric, you won't see it and it's a waste of my time. And honestly, I just wanted to get this finished and done and wear it and worn. So I started the third ball, did the whole button band. The ball is 100 grams of wool. And to finish my vest, I used 17 grams of the third ball. So annoying. 17 as in 17, nothing. So now I'm going to look for a hat project, I think, that I can make and that I can use the rest of the skein with and make a matching one, still with the silver. I was very frustrated by that. I thought, okay, I'm going to order a third one, but I'll definitely use a decent amount of yarn to finish this vest. No, I didn't. 17 grams. It's unfair. But anyway, I finished it and I didn't have enough scraps to finish it otherwise. So even I was thinking of unraveling the gauge swatch and maybe I could have finished it with that, but I don't think that would have been enough. So I had to buy the third skein and I will make a lovely hat to match my little vest. So everything will be fine in the end. Anyway, when I made my gauge swatch, by the way, before I put this on, when I made my gauge swatch, it barely grew when I blocked it. And unfortunately, that is not the case for my little vest. My curse of things growing every single time continues. So let me put this on and let's chat about that. What's very tricky is finding the buttonholes in this. Okay, so here we are, and I will of course put pictures up as well so you can see the effect. So I made size 1, the smallest size of the pattern. Had I made the recommended size, so this is recommended to be made with about 1 to 4 inches positive ease at the chest. So had I gone by that, I should have made a size 2 for about 1 inch, or a size 3 for about 4 inches of positive ease. So I'm so happy I sized down to size 1. And my idea was that if I made size 1, I would get a little bit of negative ease. I have 0 negative ease, which is not what I wanted. I'm frustrated by that. When I finished it, I tried it on and it definitely had negative ease. So it was like, and I was very happy with that. And I thought, well, my gauge swatch didn't grow that much. I'd written down that there was no growth because I measured it before and after blocking, and there was 0 growth. And of course, a full garment is going to grow a little bit more, but I didn't expect it to grow it this much. Once again, I'm very annoyed by this, how knitted garments grow. But anyway, size 1 should have given me about 2 inches of negative ease in theory. I'd say this is 0 ease, like null ease, however they say it, or I would say even a little bit. I'd say at least an inch of positive ease, to be honest. And that is not what I was after, but you know, it's okay. It's just, I feel like things with positive ease on me look frumpy. It's just not what I like to see myself in. I like not necessarily always tight things, but defined shapes. So this, for example, for me, it's a little bit off that shoulder. It's a little bit, This is definitely rather than It's all described in noises. But anyway, I still will wear this, and I think it adds a great sparkle to an outfit. That's really good. But I think maybe open, it looks a little bit better, because then you can see my shirt underneath, and there's a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more of something, and it's more like a gilet or something. So that I'm not thrilled about, but I am so happy that I made the smallest size, because had I made the actual size recommended, I would have been extremely unhappy, and I probably wouldn't have worn this. So this is just about okay. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a bit of an excess at the center back. Who knows? There's like a wedge that I feel means that it's, again, maybe a narrow shoulder adjustment that I should learn to do on knitting patterns. Maybe that's something to look into next year, so that everything's a little bit, and yeah, I just feel like I need to smooth it out every time I put it on, and then hopefully it will start adapting to my body and lie the right way. But you know, not ideal. I do think it's very warm. It adds a lovely layer of warmth. I think what I had in mind for this little vest was to wear it on top of a dress, for example, for added warmth but sparkly. And I don't know if that will work. I haven't tried it yet, but basically I wanted it to be like this when I put it on, you know, with a little bit more tightness. And maybe I just move the buttons. No, that's mad. Anyway, I'm not fully happy with the fit. I will get over it. I might try and shrink it a little bit. I don't know. This yarn is hand wash only. I just wanted to show you that little whoop, which shows you my belt loop, my belt buckle today. It's quite funny, but it's like a little window. I really, really like that detail. But yeah, I don't know if I will like this on top of a dress now, because the fit isn't what I had imagined. So we'll see. We'll see how I wear it, but I will wear it for sure. I'm very proud of it as an object. It just doesn't fit the way I wanted it to fit. So I will explore trying to shrink it a little bit. I was saying it's hand wash only. So maybe I hand wash it, but a little bit hotter, because I definitely did just like a lukewarm hand wash for blocking it. And yeah, I have to say the fabric came out looking beautiful after blocking. So it's got a sort of drape, it's soft, definitely softer than when it came off the needles, but it has relaxed. And what fitted quite nicely for me at the end of knitting is now a little bit boxy, which I'll get over. I'll find ways to style it. It is extremely sparkly, which helps me see the beauty of it. But there we are. That is my story about the Pettson vest. I would definitely recommend the pattern. I would recommend the yarn. I think it's doable for adventurous beginners, which is what I am, I think. And I think that's everything I have to tell you. I am very proud of having finished this project. It did take me almost 2 months. Obviously not knitting on it all the time because I have been doing other projects. I'm already fully into gift knitting times at the moment. So, you know, I've been going back and forward from this, but it was started almost 2 months ago. So that's an okay time frame for me, timeline, because it's got lots of details and things, and it didn't take me a year, you know, so that's a win. And I've learned to do afterthought buttonholes. I've practiced my purling a lot, which feels great, because before I felt it was a very uncomfortable stitch for me. Now I have more of a, it was clunky before, now I have more of like a routine. I knit continental, by the way, and I feel like I have more of a routine action that I can get into more easily than before, because I did so much purling on this. So that was good. I didn't mind knitting it flat that much. I did mind picking up millions of stitches, and I didn't really mind the tubular cast off until my silver runner got tangled up every 5 seconds. And I'm not very happy with the fit, but I am very happy with the finishedness of it. See, I don't mind it like this, open. I don't mind it, because it's more of an accent of sparkle. I just don't love it closed, and I was planning to wear it mostly buttoned up. So never mind. Follow along for adventures of styling this little vest, and we'll see how I can make it work for me. But proud to have made it. And it is a very different experience from sewing, where you can adjust, at least I do a lot of this, which is adjusting the fit as you sew. So trying something on every 2 seconds to adjust it. I'm sure people do that with knitting. I would have no clue how to go about it. So maybe next year I will look more into fitting knitting. That sounds fun. A new series. So there it is, my finished Pettson vest. I am very happy that I finished it before Christmas, because now I can add a little bit of sparkle in the lead up, and then all of next year, of course, because I won't limit my sparkle to just a few weeks. Oh, and I should say that I'm entering this into, I don't even know if it's finished already, but there is a knit along called Find Your Sparkle. I found my sparkle, so I'm going to be using that as an excuse for for finishing this project. I'm very happy with it, and there's some really nice things on that hashtag if you go and check it. This is on Instagram, but I'll link to it below. So there's my sparkle, my finished sparkle in time for Christmas. Very, very pleased with the sparkliness. That's definitely one bit that I have no complaints on. And I think that is it for me today. Let me know if you have made this pattern before. Have you made any of Lotta H. Lufgren's patterns before? I would be very curious to know. Have you used the pure tweed yarn before? I really, really loved working with it. And it doesn't feel too scratchy. I mean, obviously this will never be worn against the skin, but I feel like it feels very natural, not necessarily rustic, not too rustic. I really like it. Do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I have lots and lots of videos for you to watch and many more coming soon, of course. And if you're able to, do consider buying me a coffee. The link is below and on the screen because my QR code worked last week. I'm very pleased. I'm going to be putting them on the videos now. And I will also put a QR code to my Substack, which is, if you don't know, it's sort of like a newsletter. So if you sign up, you can sign up for free to get some newsletters, and I will be starting a few extra newsletters in the coming weeks that only subscribers get, and that will be £4 a month. Anyway, lots to be explored in the written word as well when it comes to making. But I will see you again very soon with another vlog. And in the meantime, keep making and keep chatting about making. Bye. There's a little bit of excess. Oh, I've dropped something. What was it? Oh! My vigorous movement. I've just dropped a whole box of threads. Uh-oh. Look at that selection. All the purples. Black, white, yellow, and this. Why have I bought this? There's a question. Anyway, I'll tidy this away.